Good morning, folks. We're going to go ahead and get started. And one of the things that we need to do is do a little cleanup from last time. And I was actually tinkering because I wanted to turn my phone around and shoot the other way. And there's no easy way to do that. Every phone app, not really the phone, it's the app that connects your phone and allows your computer to use it as a camera. Every one of those is different. And this one in particular does not allow me to do that. So we're going to flip the phone, and I'm going to follow along on the screen and hopefully kind of show you where the magic happens and what we've got going on here based on the last video. And then we'll get right into what the description of this video is going to be, which is painting some impaled skeletons. And we'll see how that goes. All right, so let's flip this thing around. Okay. Well, this one I can do, I think. We can rotate. There we go. All right, so this is where let me move this out of the way so I can see. This is the completed Wallachian army. It is the hardest thing to try to move something to the right, but you actually have to move it to the left. Maybe if I was dyslexic, manually dyslexic, is that even a thing? Anyhow, so here's the photos that we took out of them, and of course you're not going to see it in the picture isn't perfect as far as the lighting. So, but this is these are the guys right here. We took videos and posted them all over social media. So yeah, can we get any better than that? Yeah, let's try this. It's still going to be blurry. Anyhow, so they're done. So technically, I could play this army, or at least one version of it, except that I don't have a camp for them. So that's what we're going to work on next, is the camp, so that we can actually take these guys and use them in battle. So, yeah. Good morning, Pierre. And that's what the plan is. So before that, we need to clean up our area because we have all this clutter and we have things where they shouldn't be. But as I mentioned, when I stop doing a painting session, I go about the rest of what I've got going on. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and peel the layers back of the magic here and show you what this is. And I wish other people would do this because it would have been easier for me to learn. Let's see if I can put this in a position. And there we go. And back. It is so difficult to do things backwards. Nope. I need to move the screen to the left, so let me move this to the right. I don't know why this can't capture. I'll tell you what you're going to do, you insolent bastard. Nope, this way. I can paint, I just can't fight with a camera. Oh, man. There we go. All right, so let's take these figures off. And we're just going to put them in one of these temporary trays that we use for all kinds of stuff. And I'll show you what we got underneath here. It's just a real simple way to make your pictures look better. And I don't carry them from place to place in this. Well, I don't carry them in a car or anything. I put them on something magnetized, but this will do for the time being. Okay, so we have them in a little tray here. You know, just something with sides. Just move them to side. And let's get this out of the way. Okay. And all we have is a piece of felt here that I've put over a mat. See what I had to do to raise it. I just used my little container thing here. All this is you could use a piece of cardboard, something like that. And all this is a fake background. So I actually painted it so I got one background on one side and one to the other. And it just worked out height-wise. That's all you do. Just go to paint yourself a background, and you can even use really crummy paints. The Nordic Maelstrom is here, blowing in from the north. Good morning, sir. That's it. Now we gotta clean this area up because this is just like, well, it's actually not too bad. I've seen you guys painting tables, and I don't know how the hell you guys get anything done. Let's see. This goes like this. Why is this all limp and shit? Well, let's flip this around. We gotta do this eventually anyways. Who needs drugs? All right. Yeah, we'll flip this upside down. Let's see here. Rotate, rotate. There we go. All right. Let's, you just dropped by to say how impressed you are with my army. Well, thank you, sir. Put that over there. It's easy to do, but these things take time. And, you know, it's not necessarily, some people want to dip and go. Yeah, it's a huge time commitment. I'm not going to get as many things done as many other people. I've accepted that. But to me, if I'm not happy with the results, nothing's going to keep me from quitting painting faster than that. So, man, I have batteries and shit here. What are batteries there for? I gotta go in the battery case. We're not gonna do that kind of a fine cleanup, but we'll be here 4 hours. Although maybe we can do that. Maybe that'll get me a way to organize my room a little bit. Do an organizing session where I just rattle off and we could talk about current events. No, I don't want to talk about current events. Just today, I turn on my phone and there's another conflicting thing on there. I'm like, I'm just not going to listen to you liars anymore. You know. The problem is that, you know, the media does not quantify things properly. You know, they'll go out and say things like, you know, there's other people that feel like this, and there could be 2 that feel one way and 100,000 that feel the other way, but they don't quantify it that way. So you think everything's split 50-50. So I'm just not going to listen to them anymore. Oh man. Okay. I gotta vacuum the floor, so onto the floor it goes. Nope, no needles on the floor, please. All right. Now we can think. I don't even paint on this thing. I don't even know how there's a couple of these little spots that came off here, but I'll take my magic eraser and take all this stuff off because I can't stand looking at this chaos. I don't know, maybe I am a little ADD or anal retentive, or I'm definitely anal retentive for sure. Okay, so Impaled Skeletons. So I decided this morning, this is how much planning I did. I knew I had a painting guy to do skeletons, and I just I wanted to pull it down and see what they had to say. Not because I take it as the word of God, but just it's another opinion. And sometimes things are worth considering, and Sometimes they're not. So what is this other opinion we're talking about? Well, it's the old heavy metal painting guide. And this is from I know there's been different ones of them. This one's the one from 1993. And I probably got this about the time that I started my current painting style that I used on some of these figures here. No, it'd be nice if they were in the picture, wouldn't it? I need to buy the Games Workshop one on how to take videography. Maybe I'll get better at that. Anyhow, you can't really tell these guys, but they're still painted well by today's standards. Forget the basing. The basing is handicapped. But, this is one of these things that I picked up, and I've looked through. This is what I'm talking about, being super picky about books. I've looked all through this book. You can tell that it looks like the book could be shitting on a shelf. No, sitting on a shelf. So I'm real particular about books. And here it talks about many different things, but the different things on the horses and how to paint them. Just ideas. I don't take anything necessarily for, with a grain of thought. But there is a section on skeletons. Okay? And so their suggestion here is the secret to painting skeletons is to get the initial ink wash. So they're going to use an ink wash on this. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to paint a couple of them using an ink wash and see how it turns out, because I really do. I have like 14 or 24. I don't know. I got a ton of them to paint. And I want to put them all on the stand, and I don't want to spend a year doing them perfectly. So we'll see if we like how it is. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a couple of them in a couple of the different poses, and hopefully I don't hate it. The Reaper Masterclass Bone Triad is really good. You've used it often. Okay. Dude, don't crack jokes like that while I'm taking a drink. Which one? Which joke? You like my sense of humor. Excellent. You must not be a millennial. All right, let's take a couple of these things here. I can't believe some of these people are alive and walking and they don't remember a world before the internet. That's just mind-boggling. That's just absolutely mind-boggling. Okay. Let's take a look at some of these poor bastards. All right, and we're going to get a couple different poses. And yeah, there actually is a variety of poses within this, believe it or not. And these are guys made by Dungeon Torch. They're, I've thought about this little problem and I already have a solution. I think this should solve it. And by Dungeon Torch, which is, they're available on Etsy. I did an unboxing video of these guys. So if you like this product, that's probably too big. And then you could check that out. Withhold comments until you've seen them finished, because I may not like this product. They look good on paper. So what I didn't want to glue the bottoms of these to a penny or something like that, because they're plastic. There's some kind of plastic thing, and I don't want to make it difficult to pull them off or possibly damage it. And so this is what I've opted to do. Now, I've thought about this already. My plan is to paint all these guys on these corks, finish them on the corks. The problem with the corks is they're kind of top heavy, so they like to topple over. Now, the nice thing is because they don't weigh anything, they probably aren't going to damage themselves. So if this falls over, no big deal, you know. So my plan is to finish them all on here. And then, and I'm going to have to take a break in about 10 minutes to go wake up my daughter, get her up. She's got to go take a test today, so she's got to be up early. But to finish them on here, and then glue them on a base. Now the base is going to be about this big. Okay, obviously it's not going to be this tall, but about this footprint. And we're going to put them on a little hill, a gentle hill. that I'm going to make out of foam. And what I'm going to do is, because there's going to be a little portion of this stand. Let me see if I can show you with this one, which already came off, that is not going to be painted. At least that much is going to be sunk into the stand. And then we'll Elmer's it in, and it should hold just fine. That's at least my initial thought. So there's going to be a little wooden base, and then we're going to have some foam on there that's going to be, I don't know, probably at least, it's going to have some thickness to it, because some of these are like real freaking tall. I mean, they had to use like a crane to shove this guy down and up in this, to juice this guy all the way. And anyhow, that's the plan. That's the initial plan. So apt to change at any moment. So let's grab a couple of candidates and see how this, and we're not going to even fool with the brown at this point. We're not going to fool with the wood. We're just literally just painting the skeleton to see if we like the skeleton that we're doing, how it turns out. Okay, so you might as well grab a guy that's all skeleton. Okay, and grab a guy that has a skull on him as well. Let's grab. There's like 2 of every pose, or something like that. This guy's almost got flesh on him. Yeah, let's not do him just yet. I got one that's like half missing. It's mostly missing. Here. Let's just focus on ones that are mostly skeleton. Okay? All right, let's take all these guys and move them all the way over here. Now, let's move this out of the way. I was born in 1983, but I don't have millennial mentalities for the most part. 12 years younger than I am then. Okay. I'm actually a lot older than I am. Let me quantify that. See, I was born in 71, but I have a sister that's 14 years older than me. So I really should have probably been born around 61, but I'm glad I didn't have to live through that crap in the 60s. So that's a good thing. All right. Right. So let's go back to the painting process. I clicked on something and it's having let's look at image, background. There we go. All right, that's good. All right. We're going to have to add water to this. This is already crinkling. All right, let me interrupt myself and I'll be right back. I shouldn't make you laugh while you're taking a drink. Well, you know there is a 20-second delay on this. About, not intentionally, but so you should have had your drink 20 seconds earlier when I was actually saying the joke. The 60s were great, my teenage years. So I remember the 70s as a kid. And I'm glad I don't remember them well because, man, the stuff people used to wear back then. Maybe you don't notice that stuff because I'll look back on videos in the 80s and I'm like, we didn't dress like that. And well, I didn't. I didn't get all the cool clothes when I was growing up. So, but anyhow, to be continued. All right, so let's grab what we're going to be painting. So the painting guide actually says, according to the tome of Rick Priestley, or whoever the hell was in charge of this place back then. That's all I know about Games Workshop, because I wasn't involved in any of this stuff. I've never done any Games Workshop anything. Mike McVeigh. Yeah, there's some great stuff in here. Which is funny, because probably how they're painting stuff now just blows how this looks away. Let's go back to, come on, let's go where the skeleton thing is. I want to get their opinion on it, try it, and then, tell you if it's rubbish or not. Mix 2 parts brown ink to 2 parts yellow ink. 1 part water is just about right. Well, I don't have any yellow ink, and I'm not worried about it. So, we won't be using any yellow ink. Not going to go out and buy yellow ink. Now, I have Null Oil, of course, and I have another one that's gotten, I don't know if I've gotten some use out of it, some of my tanks. Damn Time Lord. Oh, I remember watching that show when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we didn't have all these channels, so one of the channels that we could get in our little shit town, now it's just a big shit town, was PBS. And on PBS, they would show Doctor Who, and I didn't really watch it, but there was this episode where he was against, who's the leader of the Daleks? The guy that has the funny mask or whatever, Kronos or some name like that. And that guy would scare the shit out of me. Of course, I was like 10 years old, Games work shy. Good morning. Yeah, this was like when it back then. This was Citadel. Everything's Citadel. This, Citadel, that. Who the hell's these Games Workshop people? Oh, they're the same blokes. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know that. So, but they have good stuff. But this is about when I started painting my normal, the method I use now, which is some of their ideas, I guess. We all steal from each other. So we have this Agrax Earthshade. So that's what we're going to use to see if we can't speed up this process, because there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's like 14 of these bastards. And I'm calling them bastards because they got themselves killed. And I'm sure for no fault of their own. So you actually got the idea from the Turk, supposedly. And I've read a few things on Dracula. And you read so many things, and then you don't realize, then you forget, okay, what's real or what was make-believe that I read? And I'm not talking about the vampirism stuff. I'm talking about, just his history. And I think that the backstory is that he was a hostage that was sent to the Ottoman court, him and his brother. And that's where they learned about some of these things, and they got this idea of impalement from the Ottomans. And then he went wild with it. And a lot of the guys that he impaled actually were his own folks, his own minor nobility that didn't want to fall in line with him when he came back to rule his own area. Obviously, he impaled lots of Turks, but some of them were his own guys, I would suggest using Agrax Earthshade over a white bone. So you would say white bone, not bleached bone? How about we do one each? And we'll see. And hell, we'll do a third one, because, I want to get one that's similar. So you want to compare apples to oranges. Here's a little short guy I was thinking about. Let's use one of them. Let's use, what color is this? No, that's dark shade. No. I thought I was actually going to find a use for skeleton bone. What better color to paint skeleton bone than, and then we're going to use a white one. Or as I like to call it, white. Big H. Try like an ivory white actually, and then the earth shade. Okay. About that. Well, here's ivory. It's damn near the same freaking color. Damn near. Which is weird because, no, I was thinking the ivory one's brighter. No, not today, pal. So this is why I have so many colors. Just for this one moment. Finally, my paints come of age. Pale sand. Ooh, I like that pale sand. Let's just do an ivory. You mentioned it. If it sucks, it's your fault. Because that's what I like to do. Blame people. No. Okay. Hold on a second. We need to do something right now. We need to get rid of that. We're not painting any Moldavians right now as sons of bitches. They don't get to use the Impaled camp. What I'm going to do for them is I'm going to get off my ass, and the camp I will make for them is a little baggage element. So they'll have a little 40 by 40 camp. Put a horse and maybe something on there. And then Impaled camp is only for Dracula. Okay, so let's start with the darkest one. That sucks. I had nothing to do with it. That's right. Hey, we're all learning here. Because I'm looking at this and yeah, let's just see. I mean, I could use it. I could paint it the old traditional method. It's just going to take a long time for 14 of these things that nobody's going to look at. All right, let's grab, boys. That brush needs to be condemned. I'm going to do something that's going to feel really weird. And that is paint the entire figure in one color. I hope I can live with myself. We're going to need this little buddy. Old school Citadel paints. It's kind of watery. I don't know how it's going to cover on this black. Now, it doesn't really matter. We're going to wash it. Oh, before we get started, I wanted to show you this. I love it when I interrupt myself. In this guide I was looking at this morning, I can't live with myself if I don't show you guys this. There's one of these things that doesn't make any sense to me. And lots of you may do this, and I don't know how in the four hells you do it. I was just glancing through this book for, here we go. I guess this is Mike McVeigh, who is an excellent painter. There's absolutely nothing wrong with his painting style. I don't know, it was a long time ago. Maybe he's still not alive anymore. Anyhow, here he is painting. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. Okay, he's doing what I like to call painting in midair. He doesn't have either one of he's not supported by anything, and he's just painting there without his wrists on the table. I don't know how he does it. Now, his elbows might be resting like on his legs or something like that. But yeah, I can't paint in midair. Dude, you just saved the moment with waking the daughter up. I was going to fail that again. We're going to go do that right now. I don't know how people do that. I don't know how painting in midair. We need to get. You're going to be the wake up guy, and the other guy is going to be the hey. You got the camera turned 90 degrees. Let me go wake her up. Thank you. You even gave me a 5-minute warning. I will be right back. You do that all the time, but you have very steady hands. I've never been able to do that. I could paint all day and not get tired, but I'm always braced. Always. I never even thought about it. I don't make a conscious effort. That's just what's comfortable. You don't see any miniatures, are they? Skeletons or bodies with flesh? They're skeletons. They're skeletons. Some may have flesh, but we'll see. All right, back to where we were. All right. Nordic, you had one job to do and you did it. Excellent. I distract easy. It'll be like, time goes by really slow, and then you get involved in something, and the next thing you know, it's like, where the hell does 30 minutes go by? What the hell? All right, so this is bleached bone. Okay. And this bottle's probably about as old as when Nordic was like 6 or 7 years old. And it's still kicking. It's so difficult to do what I'm about to do. Just paint everything just regular strength. Oh, I haven't done this in so long. To just paint something you're going to be incorrigible? Oh, we'll fix you. I think this will work. I thought about this while I wasn't painting. Okay. And if this doesn't work, it doesn't work. We'll go to doing it the old method. I'd just rather not spend an hour on each skeleton. And that's what it would end up taking. An hour on each skeleton. And it would look good. It's not like I can't make it look good. I just, I'd like to get another army done. I got plans. I want to get these guys done so I can start thinking about who I'm going to do next. Is it going to be the Byzantines? Is it going to be the Mamelukes? Is it going to be neither one of those two? Now, even straight out of the bottle, this stuff's kind of watery. So I'm not going to put 3 or 4 coats on this. It's going to go on like this. Because if I don't like how this turns out, if I'm going to add 3 or 4 coats, then I'm going to paint them the old method. Doesn't really make a difference. So this is the bleach bone. This is to save time. So this is my one attempt to do something that saves time. We'll see if I ever go back to that. Okay, next one on the lightness scale. And I can't go to one of those, well, you should have primed it in white. I don't prime anything in white. We're not going to go like that. We can't do that. I know what's going to happen. I'm not going to like any of these. I'm going to go back to painting them the old way. There's a reason. Now this one's thicker. That's scary. That's scary not Reaper. Army Painter is thicker than another paint that I have. Because I tend to think of Army Painter as... do I have a similar one that doesn't have legs? No. They all have legs. I tend to think of Army Painter as one that's kind of on the thin side. Or you're going to be like that too. All right. I got plenty of this stuff. You guys misbehave, and I got plenty of paddlings left. Yeah, that's what you used to do. You used to paddle people. Not have a talk about their feelings. All right. There we go. Okay, this one's covering a hell of a lot better. It's just covering too well. It's a little too thick. That's crazy. That's crazy to think that one of these paints from Army Painter is thick. I've always thought I'm on the thin side. But, I've said I will buy more of their paints because they're a color that's available. You can go to a store and get them. Not every Vallejo color is perfect. Now, what am I looking at? Let's just assume all of it is bone, and then we can paint the details later. And I'm very skeptical about this material to be able to... I'm not a fan of plastic. I did lots of plastic figures when I was younger, and not a fan of that compared to white metal. Okay, there's the second one. I can tell you that old ass paint ain't gonna work. Oh man, this guy's got something right through his groin. Wow, I wonder if I can get that really close. Let's see. Well, I gotta put my glasses to see what's on the screen. Now, where's the camera? He's got, I don't know if you could tell, he's got like something that's nailed into his groin, like, and you're not going anywhere. You vote for Byzantines, okay? They're likely to be the one. I want to hear Mitch stop bitching about it. Byzantine. I was really wanting to do the Mamelukes. The highest because of their basing color. The highest primary gray, only a subject on painting requires brighter colors. So you can paint with white and put Games Workshop contrast bone. My stepfather had a 2-foot long paddle that was like 4 inches thick with holes drilled in it. Yeah, wiffle paddle, yeah. Man, that's smart when it hit your arse. Yeah, there you go. You ever get paddled in school? That was a thing, man. Touch toes. Didn't do any good, but... Oh, I don't know. I didn't turn out to be a delinquent. I didn't start behaving well. I didn't behave that poorly, but I didn't start behaving well until I started painting. True story. It's about that time. About 16, something like that. All right, let's open this. Let's open this bitch up. I'll take things you don't want to hear a surgeon say for 1,000, please. Let's open this bitch up. Okay, this looks like white, big time. We'll still do it for the... We'll do it for science. This one ain't gonna work either. Watch none of them work. Look how... And which color is this one? Yeah, this is that ivory, which should be called damn near white. But we're gonna put a wash on it, so maybe these ones that are too dark. Now, I am prepared to highlight over it, so it's not like, we're not gonna highlight it or anything. Maybe I'm just pissing in the wind even attempting to do this because I like the method that I use. Maybe I just don't think it's worthy of spending as much time on these guys as I thought. Now, it's okay if they look a little darker when I'm done because there is some flesh on them a bit. You could tell, otherwise all these parts wouldn't hold together. I mean, you've got to have some ligaments left in these skeletons, or, you can't just take a skeleton and impale it and it sticks together. You got to have some... It's got to look a little bit like old Eddie from Iron Maiden. You know, he's got to have some ligamentation. You fumbling, Fumblestein. Where the heck did you go? Over here. Not used to dropping things and not making a sound. The beatings will continue until morale improves. That's right. My own morale. I'm not having a good day. Let me go beat somebody. Okay. And maybe by the time we're done with this one, or maybe not, we'll be able to go down back to the first one. I'm not getting to be I'm not convinced. Let's put it that way. I'm not very convinced that this is going to do the job, but it's okay to have a poor attitude because I won't be very disappointed. This guy actually has a lot of things inside of him. Let's see. Can you see that stuff now? Let's bring this up. Let's bring this up. All right. Well, now I can't see on a big screen. Oh. There we go. See, he's got something going right into his groin, like, you know. And then he's got a couple things in his ribs as well. You wish you could spell. I can't type. I can spell, and it's really frustrating when I mistype things. Really frustrating. Because I do judge people on their spelling. Sorry. I do, and I don't use spell check. Okay. Okay, so here's the winners. Here's the colors. Of course, I'm not going to go back and give them another coat. That just defeats the purpose. The purpose is it needs to be quick. Otherwise, why am I even doing it? So this is ivory, skeleton bone, and bleached bone. And the bleached bone is just totally gray. This one's very white, and this one's kind of in the middle. So let's take the one I put on the longest ago and see if it's dry enough. And then we'll start messing with the shade. Now, we might as well use, geez, what's in there that I had to lock it down so tight? It should be this way. Nope. Screw you, won't use you then. Agrax Earthshade. Let's put this away from the edge so I don't tip that over. Other than making a mess. Well, that's the big thing, making a mess. Don't want to do that. Won't you be upset if it turns out well? Oh, it'll turn out well. It just may not be by this method. All right, is this dry enough? Oh no, we're going in. Screw this noise. And yeah, I know I'm going to have to touch it up afterwards. That's not the point. I'm just not sure that there's any quick fixes way to paint that I'm going to be happy with. Because there's other people's stuff that I do that I'd be really happy with if I created it, but they don't take any shortcuts. You know, the shortcut I can take is paint frequently, and not spend too much time cogitating about what color to paint something. Just start painting. That's the shortcuts I can take. You know, and obviously have a dedicated painting area, which I have had for a very long time. I read about how people says, well, I got to set up my painting area because I got to do it in the living room. Yeah, I wouldn't get anything done if I did that. Even when I was a kid and lived with the folks, I had an area that I would paint in my room that I didn't have to take everything down. This one looks like the winner so far. It's better than the other one. We'll see. And then you got to wait for this shit to dry. So, and there's some of the pole that we're going to have to paint in between the figure. Not worried about that. I do that kind of stuff all the time. And then here's the one that almost looks what a skeleton you're used to looking like. Yeah, this guy got nailed right in the man parts. They got so angry at him, they split his sausage. So I like these skeletons because they're impaled the correct way. There's another company they used to be called Chariot, now they're Magister Militum, and they actually make impaled guys. Or maybe it's Donington that makes them. But they're impaled like you would a piece of paper when you have those things that you had them on the... I guess they had those things back in the 70s. I've never worked at a place that had them. You know, the little sharp point, you put receipts through it or whatever. Nobody uses those things anymore, but... And the spike. Now, these have to go through your butthole. And the objective was to get it to come out through your mouth, which of course is very difficult because everything has to line up. So sometimes they come out through the shoulder or some other parts, or like this one doesn't come out. This one comes in through his back. So anyhow, we'll let these guys dry a little bit. And where is the base that I use? Look at this. This is the size base that we're going to use for the camp. Which I believe is 60 by 80. And it's already magnetized and everything. This is the same. I have a little camp that has the pole sticking up. And that's the one that I use. Man, this thing's just too zoomed in. Let's zoom this out a little bit. There we go. For a moment there, I thought that was something dangling between his legs. Yeah, it's a freaking spike. I've made countless messes knocking those pots over. I just don't want to take the time to clean that up. You just got a new laptop. They changed some of the keys. What? So the number key is now above the enter return key. That's weird. So I'm hitting the wrong key too often. I can't type without looking at the keyboard. So probably not that big a deal for me. You have both US and UK keyboards, which can cause some fun. I didn't know there was a keyboard that was different other than if you used like an Asian one. I had no idea. If I don't make it out of there, do not put me down for impaling through the rear, please. Yeah. Well, you just got to lube up a lot, I guess. I'm surprised we haven't gotten any comments on that, but if you watch any of our game videos, Mitch and I are always mentioning the juicer. He has this obelisk, more like a steely, that's almost like a road sign on some of his things. And it's to a point, it's not a point like this, like these guys have, but, so we call that the juicer. You misbehave and they put you on that. What was that one of those medieval torture things called? The pair or something like that, where they would suspend you above this thing that was made to go up in there, and as you got heavy or whatever, it would eventually, you would juice yourself on that. So, good times. We need some fan here. But not that light. Talking about this stuff's making me hot. Oh, man. As a kid, I always thought the Iron Maiden was like really, really freaking a scary way to go. And I think I read something recently that it might just be that they never really used them. It might just be a old wives' tale. I mean, they obviously made them, but you'd have to get all the spikes to fit everybody perfectly, Just seems like a lot of effort to okay, when we close it, we want it to go through both of his eyes and all this at the same time. And it just seems like you'd have to put some people on a step stool, or that person's eyes are too far apart, so we'd have to do it somewhere differently. But I also veto being mummified. That juicer sounds awful too. Yeah. All right. All this thing could have been averted if you just would have behaved. Let's trim the end of this off. Now this is actually a Litco magnet and a Litco stand. And I got this when I got my first set of Litco stands, so I've had this a while. But this is not a heavy-duty magnet, so it's not going to be as grippy as the other ones. But this is going to be a very light camp. This camp doesn't weigh very much. I was reading, I was having it read to me, as I should say. I wasn't reading it. I was having it read to me. The current book that I've been going through right now is called, and I can never remember the name of it. It's the one by Dan Jones. It's his latest one about medieval times, and I'll tell you right now what it doesn't matter. It's his latest one, and I was talking about my favorite enemy of all, the Mongols. I'm not a Mongol fan. I don't celebrate those sons of bitches at all. And I think there's few people that have been as cruel as them. But one of the things that they talked about was when Genghis Khan died, they don't know where he's buried, supposedly. I mean, they might find it tomorrow. But supposedly they don't know where he was buried. So they had people dig a place, and then they buried him, and then they killed the people who dug it. And then the people that killed them, they killed them too. I'm like, why are you killing your own people? No, not a Mongol fan. That doesn't mean I won't build a Mongol army at some point. I build bad guys too. I got lots of little 20 millimeter Nazis running around, and communists. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at, this is the first one. Let's see what we're dealing with. Here's the reality is, all three of these I think I'll be able to doctor up and turn them into a usable one. I don't think I'm going to be repainting any of them. You know, the skeleton's going to... The one I like the least is the ivory. Wasn't that your suggestion? I think all of them I should be able to... I honestly like this one the best. Because remember, it's just a base for it. Well, we're going to need to leave it a little bit longer. And we're probably going to paint the wood so that we can get that out of the way and then do the bone. So, but this is what we're going to put them on. And I've got some of that foam stuff. And I'm probably going to cut something along the lines of... where's a pencil here? This is just me talking out loud. I could change my mind at any moment. Be nice with some lead in there. A pencil with no lead, useless. Something like that. And then from here up, it's going to slope up. This is going to be ground level. Obviously, we're going to have some gravel and stuff. If we're going to slope up. Now, the slope up is not going to be higher than maybe a half an inch at the most. Maybe an inch. An inch? An inch is pretty high. And slope up to that. And that way we can have them on different levels. So, I have no idea what fool suggested that color. It's a word you don't use very often. Fool. It just doesn't get used very often. There's more descriptive, antagonistic words to call people now. Geez, I don't know what I was on when I tightened this down. I wonder what fool tightened this down. If they both go the same way, and there's no guarantee that they do. There we go. Now what the hell was I hiding in here? Nothing. Why are you hiding? See, I did give some thought to what army I'm going to do yesterday. And I honestly want to, I want to play with my Byzantines this weekend. So I may do one of these videos. I may have maybe an hour or something myself. And we'll pull the Byzantines out and see what we can do without having to buy any figures. Maybe you guys will be interested in that. Maybe you won't be. But if I have to buy a lot of them, which I don't think I do, then they're probably not going to be next. But man, Mamluks. I wanted to do some Now the Byzantine army is better. The Mamluk army kind of, a one-trick pony, but I like painting them Arab armies. They're pretty. Okay. Let's paint the sticks on these three guys. All right. Just thought you needed a base of fancy skeletons in reserve, just in case you ever needed to deploy the camp followers. Oh, what a waste of time painting camp followers. What a waste of time. I had every intention to paint the camp followers. For my Irish army. My Irish army was going to be the first army to paint camp followers. And here's one of the camp followers I was going to build for them. They were going to be a pair of leprechauns. And these are epic dwarves. You probably can't see them. Here's one holding a big old flag. And I got another one around here. So it's going to be a 20 by 40 stand with these two little guys on it. And just ran out of steam. Decided not to do it. But I figured that'd be cute. And Byzantines could be up desert bases. I guess I could. They look so much better with the desert bases. I guess I could. We won't be slaying very many Bulgars on desert bases, but... So Kamnin and Byzantines are the ones I would do. And the list has, they can be knights or cav. I'm just going to build them as one or the other. It seems like the cav of that time period didn't really use bows anyways very much. So I I'm not going to build cab stands and nightstands. They're just going to have almond shaped shields, and just move forward with that. But we'll see what we need to buy. The big draw for me to build the Byzantines is because I have those Alain Toulaire figures, and they're out of production. They're out of production, and he was a French sculptor that had his own shop. As I understood, this is not unlike the media, I'm going to tell you I do not know. But what I heard was he had his own shop in the south of France, and you could only get him by going to visit him. And he passed away a few years ago, and his family, so I've been told, is not continuing the business. So, okay, Nordic, have fun in whatever you do. I'm got to get some more liquids, so I will be right back. Oh man, I forgot to put my little "I'll be back soon" thing. Okay, so we'll if you guys are interested in that, I'll film that. We'll play with a pile of lead, pile of Byzantines. When I feel like I need to take a break from this. Let's see, we can't do this all day. We do need to get a long overdue haircut. Long overdue. I don't know how people can handle hair touching their ears, but it drives me bananas. I think we need a little bit more fan than that. And it was hot. Winter's over here in this part of the world. The little bit of winter that we have. It got up into the high 80s yesterday, and it was dusty and hot and shit at work, so. All right. Brown. Which brown? Well, when in doubt, get out the sharp brown. That's what we're going to use. So not to be crude, but normally the way you would paint these, and I've seen a lot of people make this mistake. Well, it's not really a mistake if that's how you want it to look like. camp that has, why it's just not sitting on top. Should be here, unless I left it over at Mitch's. I don't have it there. I must have left it over there. I had my first camp that I ever built. Is literally just a square box with just the little sticks, just skewers on the end. And what I've seen a lot of people do is you paint the whole skewer like this, all brown. And that wouldn't be the case. You'd have like brown on the outside, but the inside of the wood shouldn't be brown color. It should be a lighter color. But because the ends of these sticks supposedly were lubed up and pushed through a person's body, I don't think I'm going to paint the ends of them light colored as much. So based on the conditions that these skeletons are in, this didn't just happen yesterday. So all kinds of beasts have come and feasted on parts of them, I'm sure. So, hey, we're trying to do it somewhat realistically. You know, not just throw stuff out there. So, doesn't need to be gore, but that camp stayed over there. I'm always in a rush to leave and have to pack everything up. And his playing area is a little bit like somebody's messy painting table. Things can get lost in translation, so it's not that infrequently that I'll leave something over there. All right, which is the one that we did first? This poor bastard right here. We're still using the old method for this, though. It's so much more satisfying to paint, for me to paint this way. Like, what I hate doing the most is priming. I absolutely hate priming. And let's not even do another stick. Let's just stick with this stick. Let's stick with this one. Oh. All right, enough of that. So the reason against doing the Byzantines, since we're talking about Byzantines, how much can you talk about a skeleton? Maybe if you have a medical degree, but I don't think I even took a class in school that was like human body science. So if somebody has to perform surgery, it's not going to be me, folks. Still kind of wet. Let's change my mind and do another stick. Let that dry a little bit. I don't want to blend them. I used to call this system blending. Oh, I paint by blending. And I do. I blend here. I don't blend on the figure. I layer. But the reason against doing the Byzantines is their flags suck. The Comnenian flags absolutely are atrociously suck. They don't have, Madonna and Child or, some Orthodox Jesus or something like that on there. Something elaborate. They have a shitty ass 3-pronged flag that has the colors in the wrong order. You got colors that are touching each other they shouldn't. It just looks like some child put it together. But that's what I'll have to do. It'll turn out just fine. It just, initial reaction. Initial reaction is, could have done something so much more. And I'd probably paint the knights and stuff, the knights, the cavalry, in units. So the whole unit of 3 is going to have the same shield pattern. I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll see. It depends on who I pick in the units. And so forth. But the mounted all need to have almond-shaped shields, and I'm not sure how many in the Elaine 2-layer come in that way. Because it was marketed as a Kamninen pack, but that's not necessarily accurate. So we'll just have to see. I'm really wanting to pull them out and take a look at them now. I have a feeling I'm going to have to order some Old Glory figures. I think the Spearmen are not going to work. I think I'm going to need to order a pack of Spearmen, a pack of the Heavy Cavalry and the Command, and maybe Bowmen. Maybe. I may have enough Bowmen to do it. If not, and then that's it. So that's 4 things Old Glory. That's not a big deal. And then we'll have a mixture of Old Glory, Elaine 2-layer, and some other off-brand stuff as well. So. And yeah, maybe do some desert-ish type basing. That'll make them pop out nicely. Okay. Anatolian type basing. All right, let's go back to this one here. Okay. You need to do the wood so you can get a fair assessment of whether or not I like this. We got off to an earlier start than normal. But regardless, they're a ways off. Because we need to finish these. We need to finish this camp. We need to finish Castle Bran, which will be up on a little hill as a BUA. Then we'll do the Moldavian command stand. Then we'll do the Polish allies. Then we'll worry about the next army. If I don't do that stuff now, none of it's going to happen. As much as I want to start another army. If I don't keep myself on a tight leash, I'm going to get carried away. Now, let's lighten this up. We don't have to use white. But if I have to replicate it, it's going to be easy to remember that I used white instead of this ivory. So let's just go ahead and put some white down anyways. Jeez. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Too much. Maybe it'll stay on there a little longer than a day. So wasteful. I'm killing all the world's resources all in one painting session. Can't believe they stopped making the Vallejo, that Liquitex ground stuff. But I'll be honest with you, I actually like the Vallejo one better after doing basically a whole army with it. Now, the nice thing is it doesn't look that different, so I should be able to mix them. It's not like I've got to redo everything, but I actually like the Vallejo one better. So I probably should pick up a couple more pots of that before it gets not made anymore. Before they stop manufacturing it for some silly reason. It's not sustainable. Yet we have plastic, no end to plastic cups and straws and stuff. But this basing material isn't sustainable. I call bullshit. Now, one thing that may be a bad idea is the sealing things I use are enamel based and they don't flex well. And to use, look like there's some barbed wire or something in down here. To use that type of a method with plastic that's bendy would probably be a really bad idea. But this isn't very bendy, so I'm going to just move forward like I would with anything else. I just don't think that they flex at all. They're just going to snap. They're almost more like a resin than a plastic, so. The advantage is going to come to gluing them. They're not going to be so top heavy if they were made of white metal and fall all over the place. Where's you get one stand of these guys, and the peasants would probably be a good one to use. Everybody quiet. Well, good morning to you, quiet folks. We might lighten that up a little bit more. Let's start tinkering with the color of the skeleton. And let me just do a test here. We're going to need to use a brush that's a little bit more, I have a little bit more confidence in it. Like say one of these black ones right here. And this is the color that applied really well, which is the Army Painter one. Let's use that as a base. And see how this lightens up with white. I think that's the color to use. And the main thing it takes painting is not necessarily the actual painting, it's the cogitating about what color to do something. So if I can just start painting and not worry about it, that's going to save some time. But in April, we're definitely going to have some opportunities to do some epic length painting sessions. So if you guys are into that, if this helps you, maybe listen to something in the background that's not like talk radio or some kind of nonsense to get you through it, then should be coming up in April. Because at least for me, this is like the best thing I can be doing. We got a lot of things that we want to do, and hanging out with you folks helps me tremendously. Now, I kind of like the wash because it added almost like there's some meat in there in between the some ligaments or something like that. Let's just take the same color and we're going to add, let's not get sidetracked by that. Let's add some white to it. And actually, let's ditch this brush and use one that the end on these is already starting to do its little thing that it does. And highlight maybe some stuff that's been bleached by the sun a little bit. And heck, you know actually what I expect? I actually expect liking all three of these and then painting them in a mix and then do this method to highlight them. At this point, that's because this is the one I like the least, is the one I'm tinkering with right now. This is the one I like the least. Yeah, see, I paint with wrists rested and with piece resting on the edge of the painting table. I don't want any kind of movement. And I have a table that's actually very, very steady. That was a big thing. I didn't want to wobbly. I can make my own mistakes. I don't need the table's help. And let's go up a level to damn near white. And I'm probably putting a lot more effort in this. I probably should, but what else is new, right? And then, of course, one thing that I can't express it enough. And it's so hard to quantify because you guys can't see it. But when you end up sealing this, it adds another layer of colors that it adds extra depth. It's really pretty amazing. Would this quantify as a fantasy painting for me? Can I finally say that I've painted something fantasy? If I paint these skeletons up, does that count? Remember, this is the color I didn't like. All right, let's see what we're looking at. I love it. I think the wash is a good idea for those reasons. Let's see if we can get this to zoom in. Oh, I love that sound. Give me more of it. Kidding, of course. Again, it's going to be washed out looking because this light is great for me. It looks a lot more white than it really is in person. Okay. You're painting. Exactly. It's what you should be doing. Although I'll be honest with you, I've gone down the road and listened to somebody's podcast. And not, not looking at the picture or whatever. There's one particular person that he doesn't show a lot of stuff. He's very slow in showing what he has. So that's really well suited for that. Really well suited for that. He actually has a new video. I need to watch it. Yeah, I think it looks good, Dirk. And this is the color I didn't like. And let's do the other color that I wasn't thrilled about. I bet I'll like all three of them. Well, I'm going to use the same. I'm going to use the same skeleton bone to lighten them all up. So they're going to be similar to a degree. And if they're all about the same, then I'm just going to use skeleton bone for all of them with a wash and just be done with it because it applied the best. Okay, so let's do this. Oh, this guy's, I think, got some kind of clothing or something there. Maybe. Or maybe some meat or something. Let's paint around that. Let's try to leave that showing some, so. Now you got me wanting to pull out the Byzantine figures and see what I got. I will resist. I'll resist ordering anything, but well, I know one thing. If I'm doing the Byzantines, I'm confiscating one of Mitch's little buildings. Like I've got that church that I built for the Pope. He's got one that looks Byzantine-ish. I'm confiscating that one. Now, the War and Empire series from Forged in Battle, they make a Byzantine church, but it's in 15 millimeter scale. And honestly, I like 6 millimeter scale buildings better for the game. I like the terrain to be in more of a game scale than the figures. I like the look of that better. It is just a game, It doesn't need to be a diorama. I'll tell you one thing though. If I do start working on the Byzantines, one of the first things I'm going to do is do their flag. And then we'll put it in the corner there. Because it's kind of nice to have a little icon there about what I'm working on while I'm working on it. So, don't put it off. Go ahead and do the flag because I like doing flags. First time painting bone ever. Hey, it's just like painting everything else. I think we're going to put a little bit of cloth there afterwards. This is kind of a soft line there that's not really any part of the bone structure. Boy, I'm just dying to get in that ivory that I've got no business messing with. Yep. There's actually a little bit of wood here. Again, sometimes you just start painting things and you realize, oh, that's what that is there. Well, let me repaint that. It looks like the wood goes through his body here. Oh, why Sunday morning's busier than Saturday mornings? Maybe today's honeydew list day. I look at it this way. This is the first day of getting to do whatever the hell I want, to a degree. Or hopefully not being interrupted in the middle of it. That's worth a lot to me, not being interrupted. It's really unsatisfying to have your thought process interrupted. I'm pretty much always thinking, no matter what I'm doing, so I don't really have any mindless activities. Oh, now I like this one better, so let's bring this one up. Oh, we got a comment. Let's see what we got here. When I paint 10 mil, I usually prime a skeleton bone and then wash with Agrex just so I can see the detail. Is there that much stuff made in 10? It seems like 10 would be a pretty cool scale. I like the way things look in 6. The problem with 6 is that I can see it just being painful trying to do the goop in between the figures in 6. But 10 seems like it'd be alright. To be honest with you, the reason I picked 15s was because that's what people were doing in this scale. If everybody was doing 28s, then I don't know if I would have gone 28s. It just takes too freaking long. It just takes way too long to get stuff painted. So I don't want to say I would have done it and then really not would have done it. I don't like to be just saying things just to say them. Okay, there's 2 so far. Do they look that different? Nah. They're a little rushed looking, but I don't want to spend 4 hours on a damn skeleton. Now let's do the one that has the actual same color on it. Because if this one doesn't turn out well, then it just means that I need to finish with the skeleton bone and not use that as one of the base colors. Although by adding that wash, I've already changed the core color, so to speak. Ah, crapsicle. Let's get rid of that. We don't want paint where we don't want it. I've fantasized about, building fantasy stuff for that book that I brought up a couple months ago. Just like that, the Atlas of Atlantis or whatever the hell it's called, the Lost World of Atlantis, and build some of the countries from that. But I think it's just too much of an empty palette of how to compose some of the armies. Some of them kind of give you a clue, like one of the nations, Avalon, is I think they said almost all mounted knights. Well, you could give them a couple of horde stands or something like that, but yeah, you could basically say, okay, they have no head and they have no foot or whatever. But that's just too much of an empty palette, And I'm not learning any history by doing that. I'm just reading fluff, and that's not really my thing. So, but I did go enough to surf figures, and okay, I'd use these guys for that, and I've got my Chinese army, my Southern Dynasty's Chinese army that has no home. They changed that army so much in 3.0, and I could convert them and turn them into later Tang. But Joe already has that army, and there's a lot of elements I'm not going to use. So I'm like, well, I could use them as one of the Eastern armies in that game. But I don't want to learn how to play Hordes of the Things, or I guess there's a 3.0 version of Hordes of the Things. I'm just afraid it's going to confuse the gameplay when I'm not playing that. It's not necessarily the confusion, but I don't want to get the confusion on video because that's going to send people in that could send people in the wrong direction. And I don't want to do that, you know. But I thought about that. Okay, like, okay, which spearman would I use for this nation or whatever? So I had some fun looking into that, but all right, now let's see. God, I want to say I like this one the best because it's kind of brownish in the bottom. It's the brownish. It's the most brownish one. Here we go. I did it. You don't need that. We need to use white for that. Let's go here. But I'm not going to repaint the other two. I think it'd be, you know, they're not going to age the same way. So with 10s, you get 2 ranks on the base, which looks really good. I bet it does. Hot orange at 10. Did you already use contrast skeleton horde? Did you have already used contrast skeleton horde? I don't know what you're saying. If you're trying to say, have I used contrast paints? I have not, and I won't, just because I don't need to buy a bunch of other paints. And I don't think that the method is, for me, it's a little too, I've watched some videos on it. It's a little too basic for me. I don't mind doing this. This is extremely relaxing. Just, oh, do we have a colluder? Yep. We'll delete that bastard later. Why are you coming on here? Leave us alone. We don't bother you. This is very relaxing. I like this one the best. That was Maelstrom's idea. Was it? No, he picked the ivory one. Well, I'm not done with this yet, so I may actually not like how it turns out. I'm going to keep all of them. I'm not going to repaint any of them, so maybe they'll all look good and we'll just paint them in a mix. How did I pick up a little strand of fiber or something? Compare all of them. Let me take a look at them. All right, I don't want to look at you anymore. I can't do it from that screen. Gotta do it from the YouTube screen. Okay, let's go back to this screen. All right. again, it's the glare off this light is just a killer. Let me take a look at them. This looks good. This one looks good. They all look good. They all look good. All right, fine. We'll paint a mix of them. But we do need to finish this guy's, one of these, the wood isn't all the way up. This one. Oh, man. Whew. This isn't that time consuming. It isn't that bad. Went to the hobby store last weekend, or maybe it was the week before. I didn't buy anything. Just kind of wanted to walk around and see if there's anything I couldn't live without. And you know what? I was able to live without everything. Gotten to the point where buying things just isn't a thrill. You know, I'll get things when I need them. I don't need to buy them ahead of time. Unless they're like damn near free. Then I got to act upon it. But I see some 15 or 20% off sale on miniatures. It just doesn't appeal to me to go and buy things that I don't really need. I'm perfectly happy with what I have. See all these posts this week on Facebook. Something that, something along the lines of, introduce your kids to wargaming because they won't have any money to do drugs. And that's the self-control thing. I think wargaming is really, really cheap. Really, really cheap. Just don't buy a bunch of stuff you don't need. As somebody mentioned the other day, it might have been Nordic. You can't do everything. It's true, you can't. You got to pick what you're going to do. All right, let's get... You think this would be rope or you think it would be wire? Rope would actually probably look better. Yeah, let's do rope. Rope's going to look better. Let's get old Iraqi sand out here. That's it. There she is. You can't do everything. Just forget cost. Let's just say people just hand things to you for free. You don't have time to do everything. So why buy stuff you don't have time for? I need to get Joe to run a couple games of Sea Creek 5. I'm big into naval warfare. You wouldn't know, but I'm really big into naval warfare. Or used to be. But I got rid of all my Other than a few, and I mean a few like 5. My 1/2400 scale ships, they just weren't painted very well. That's what I started off as a kid, so they don't look very good at all. Or they didn't. So I sold them off in the early 2000s. Late 2000s. Just hadn't played with them in a really long time. And that's what funded all these Vallejo paints. Haha! You slippery booger. And wouldn't mind playing some of it, just for just a few ships on a side. Unusual stuff, though. Not the old World War II things like we used to do all the time. These look like spikes, so we're going to have to paint them metal. Some of these other things. Oh, that looks nice. Well, hell, this one's almost done. All right, so let's paint the tie-offs on the other ones and finish these 3. Maybe it didn't take that long. I mean, shit, if I paint them in sets of 3s, I just have to do it for like 4 times and I'm done. Wouldn't that be cool if I could get this camp done if I get this camp done this weekend, don't go to battle on Monday. Maybe I shouldn't get it done. I'll end up doing poorly. I don't care. Look, I still love my Ottomans, and I do horrible with them. It's more important that they look good than they play well. I can't control how they play. And I probably don't need to paint this many impaled guys, but I don't really have a use for them, so I might as well. It needs to have the correct effect to not have just 2 skeletons on impaled. Like, yeah, this guy tried it a couple times and didn't really like it. Instead of like, this guy's got an impaling fetish. It's a poor general that blames his men. Haha. No, that's the beauty of DBAs. You can see all the die rolls. You can see what's going on all the time. So, you can tell when somebody gets a bunch of pips and you don't, and your guys just sit around, And I'm not trying to win that badly, to be honest with you. I make bad calls sometimes. I don't care. I'm a painter. I just want to see my guys in action. Like I've mentioned before, I don't mind losing to the people that I play with. It's not that important. I keep score at everything just for yucks, but to egg people on. I want a good fight. But it's not that important to me. Looks like there was rope down here that was attached to some feet, and the feet done fell off. Guy had good dumb fallen feet. What? Yippa. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now we'll paint some of these spikes metal. I don't think I'm going to rust the metal. That's too far. That's taking things too far. What's this rough iron color look like? Well, it looks like shit for once because I didn't. Oh man, arms are tight. Oh. Well, it kind of has a rusty look to it. Let's try that. Let's put this down and highlight with the other metal. Ooh, getting fancy. All right, there's a spike there. Looks like there's another spike there. Another one here. Another one there. Now, these are just down here all by the lonesome. This is one's got one right through his Peter. And looks like there's a couple up here. There's one here. And there's one there. Boy, this guy made somebody really angry. This guy's got a couple more. It's got one through the back here too. These are actually really clear prints. Can't say castings, prints. This guy's got none. He didn't anger too many folks. All right, let's I might just use a really bright color so it stands out, but Iron Breaker. And then this should finish these 3 skeletons off, which honestly I think is pretty good progress. Now I don't have to think about how to do the base color on the rest of these guys. I could just use any and all. All right, so we've got a little bit there. Oh, I missed one down here. Well, it won't get any rust. if it even makes that much of a difference. I know I don't want to spend a decade on this. It'll look good enough. Let's take a look at these guys. Let's close this lid before we have an issue. Oh, we got to paint some cloth on him. Yeah, let's do that. I think it's cloth. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't on second thought. I could spend a lot more time tinkering on these guys. And all right, let me look at my... More of these damn... More of these damn Russians. Okay. Again, it's kind of washed out looking. Very bright. Let's see if I can tinker with this, give it more what I'm looking at here. Let's white balance. Let's do, oh, it's on automatic. How about daylight? That's what it needs to be on. Yeah, it's a little bit more what I'm seeing. Yeah, that's a little bit more what I'm looking at. This looks good enough. I could spend a whole freaking day trying to tinker this perfectly. I think it gets the point across. We got some nice contrast on the wood. I'm pretty happy with that. Now let's put it next to some peasants. Oh, gotta be on the screen, Tony. I think it looks just fine. Yeah, I don't know what settings I have on the camera, but this is what I need to leave them on, because this is about what I'm seeing. And I end up looking at things and I put them on the camera and I'm like, man, this doesn't look right. Yeah, that's about what I'm seeing. And what you normally see when I'm taking photographs. I think that's good enough. So we got 3 skeletons done. You know what? I'm probably not going to spray them gloss. I'm probably just going to brush them. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't take corners like that. Maybe I shouldn't cut corners like that. Okay, so we got 3 skeletons done. Let's pick another 3. Well, how many you got left? First of all, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shit, let's just do them in sets of 5. And get these next 5 done. I got 5 more to do, and they're done. You can put these guys up on a hill. And I ate something in my stomach once more, I guess. Tough, you just get black coffee. Yeah, so what did we learn? I liked all the base colors that we used, so let's do that. Let's get this damn bleach bone is one of them. Actually, I'm going about this completely incorrectly. Let me move the camera so I can get to these guys back here. I need to do the same way I paint figures and do similar poses together so that I force myself to not make them the same. So this guy's hunkered over and so's him. So we need to paint them together so we use a different base color. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference, but why not? Those 2 guys. Then this guy is cousins with him. Well, they're different heights. It's funny how that works. And then this one comes up through the shoulder. I guess all 3 of these are the same. Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll paint these 5 together. We'll paint these 5 together. Okay, so that forces me to use different colors. So one of these will be that base color and this one and that. Okay, so let's put these guys off to the side. Hey, there's a method to the madness. You can have madness, but you got to have method. All right. Let's come in. Put this down. You can have madness, but you got to have method. Makes you want to base them really solidly. You don't want them to be fragile like the camel. Yeah, the problem with the camel is that I had fixed it. It was the only camel I had in that pose. And I don't even know who makes that camel. It might be somebody, really an old school figure. And he had a cracked ankle on one of the legs. And I super glued it, or epoxied, or maybe did both. I don't know. But it came undone after I was done with the figure. So, don't touch the little camel. That's where that comes from. So, not that he had a bad childhood experience or anything with an adult camel or anything, or a camel monger. Just that he's got one leg that's really, really weak. So camel monger. You always hear fishmonger, and the other day on that book, what did I hear? Monger. Woolmonger, I think is what I heard. Somebody who's pushing wool. You only hear that normally as a warmonger, None of the other mongers really get much. And then I heard fishmonger for the first time, like, that's weird. No, I guess it's a word that doesn't get used much. Well, I heard woolmonger the other day. Dan Jones, I believe that's what it was. Cloth, it might have been clothmonger. Tony does speed painting. Is it really speed painting? I don't know. I still went and detailed in my own incredibly anal retentive way. I don't know. I do washing. How about that? I'll never live it down. Yeah. It's not like I went to a protest rally or something. It's all good. It's all good. It was nice that it didn't take as long as I thought it was going to. And that I used 3 different colors and I was happy with all of them. I don't know what's going on with this guy's skull. Does he have flesh on him? I don't know. I know that I can haphazardly paint this a little bit and after the wash. Now, the nice thing about washing 5 figures is the first guy's going to dry quicker then. Because there's more time between that and the last one. Another reason, I'm happy with the result, another reason to not change from basing everything in black. Because I was having my doubts there for a little bit. And I'm like, I just can't make any special provisions where I'm not basing in black. Black is just so nice because you forget something and it's in a dark little corner and it's dark colored, you know. Problem solved. That's the only reason why. The first time I ever primed anything was using this company called Floquil, and they had the spray primer, and it was very, very light gray, almost equivalent to really almost an off-white. And I was really happy because the details really show on that. But then you've got these dark corners that if you forget to paint in it, it doesn't have any paint, and it's down in the murky depths of the figure. So once I saw that people were painting in black in the mid-90s, that's what I did. So Ironmonger still gets used. Interesting. Years ago, I went to the Cairo camel market. Camel mongers everywhere. Boy, I bet that was a stinky place. What smelled worse, the camels or the camel mongers? There's no reason to smell like BO. Deodorant fits every size. It's not like, well, they didn't have the extra large deodorant. Okay, this is good enough. Because I know how it's going to turn out, so it's good enough. All right. Same color, different figure. Oh, he's having a bad day. This guy's had a bad day. I always think any death you could have that they can't recognize you is a bad death, like a decapitation. I always thought decapitations was a really bad way to go. Sure, it's instantaneous, but then you're, well, who is that? I don't know. People don't even find out you're dead. It's just, here's this corpse that doesn't have a head and they don't recognize you. Disturbing. Maybe it's really disturbing for those that don't die. For the ones that die, you just don't know any. You don't know any different. But I always had this problem with anything, people that get marched to the chopping block or something like that. I never thought hanging was particularly bad. Now, I'm not saying painful or whatever. I'm just saying, just as an onlooker, the person's still in one piece when they're being hung, generally. It might be a bad way to go. I don't know. I hope to never find out. But I'm just saying, as an observer, that's not that disturbing, as opposed to somebody's having their head chopped off. I just think that's a very... Any way of killing somebody that shows all those guts that are inside all of us that we aren't aware of is just really disturbing as far as I'm concerned. So, what was that movie? Ironclad. Was it Brian Cox? I think it was Brian Cox who wasn't going to submit to King John, and he ended up having all his appendages chopped off of him, and then he got catapulted up against a wall. I remember, I've only seen it one time, but that's one of those really memorable deaths. Actually, the worst thing was the guy slaughtering goats in the market. I tell you what, it wouldn't take much for me to not eat meat. If I had to kill my own animals, I'm just not doing it. I just don't need to eat meat that bad. All right, we're going to paint. Well, both of these are the similar figures, so they need to be different. So we're going to paint these two with one color. And where's our candidates? The one that's my favorite, we'll do two in that one, and we'll do one in the ivory. Yeah, it wouldn't take much for me to not eat animals. It's kind of gross if you think about it. I mean, they're tasty, but, you know. Certainly not raising one. I couldn't raise a little baby pig and eat them. As yummy as pig is, and pig is yummy. It wouldn't, I already got a whole batch of it there. Oh, we don't need to knock down any, oh, that's just sitting there. All right. Yummy pig. They're cute though. And I'm not an animal rights or I don't even have any pets, but I get it, you know. Yeah, I don't want to see somebody slaughtering goats. I don't think I've eaten. Look, I'm going back to my old method. Oh, man. There's no point in doing my old method in this and then giving it a wash. That kind of defeats the purpose. Goats isn't one of those things on my list to ever eat. So you'll have to sneak goat into me. I'm not going to voluntarily eat that. Besides, they're gamey. I don't like gamey meat. Looked at the population statistics the other day for some unrelated thing, and Cairo's like a huge freaking city. I don't know what the hell happened there, but it's freaking skyrocketed. They're like number 3 or something like that. Just something insane. I guess those things just constantly change all the time. Number 1, I remember being Mexico City. And then Mexico City's now dropped to like 6 or 7 or whatever. So I guess it just depends on whether they're talking about metropolitan area or city limits. Metropolitan area is the one that makes sense. You don't just live on the outskirts of something and don't recognize that's where you live in. But yeah, I couldn't believe Cairo's like 28 million or some insane thing, you know. I mean, just the idea that more people can live in Cairo than they live in all of Australia is just mind-boggling. You have more people live in your city than a whole continent. And you're not talking about a continent like Antarctica. That's just crazy. Yeah, I'm half-assed dry brushing this somewhat. I wonder how epoxy handles foam, because I really don't want to just white glue these guys in. I have zero confidence in white glue. Yeah, I know. My stomach is hungry or something. It's almost time for a second breakfast. So we played some games of Collision Course recently, and we used the smaller board, and I like it a lot better on the smaller board. Because Collision Course games tend to run a little long, and so they're not really great for conventions because of that. Well, at least our conventions in Florida, because we're held to a strict 4-hour rule. We got to be done in 4 hours. So it's kind of a pain in the ass. So we used to do 4 rounds. Now we just do 3 rounds. And the problem is sometimes you have inexperienced players and you have to explain things to people. It's not, Mitch and I knocking games out in 4 hours. That's easy. All right. Well, the last color was the ivory. All right, which is still there, which is there as well. Cairo was a great place to visit. It's like number 3 or something like that. It's crazy. Just something insane. As a matter of fact, I saw the numbers recently, and it seems like India is going to overtake China in population. Just something crazy. Well, I haven't looked at those kind of stats in 15 years, so, things change. Good. We can use more Indians than Chinese. Unless the Indians turn into being arseholes like the Chinese. And I mean the government. I'm not talking about the people. The people don't have a choice. They're stuck in a bad situation. That is one of my to-do lists is do an Indian army with 3 elephants. Paint me some elephants. You've never had any issue with epoxy on a phone. Okay. That's good. And it's the strong foam. It's the foam that is solid, not the one that's the little circles. Maybe we'll try that. I got a lot more confidence in epoxy. I'd like to just wait like 10 minutes to work on something, not like come back tomorrow kind of crap. I've been spoiled by using these acrylic paints that I basically could continue painting the whole time. It's not like, well, come back when they're dry. That's not my thing. All right. We got our crowd of Skeletonians ready to receive some Agrax. I'm glad I finally found a use for it. Actually, I did do a wash on my Russian vehicles. I did some Russian 20 millimeter vehicles, I guess about a year ago, and I did wash this over them. It just saves time. I can make my own mix, but it just saves time doing something already pre-made. Using something already pre-made. Let's see. Let's put this somewhere that hopefully I can not manage to not tip it over. Now the new one's this guy, so we'll do him last. All right, let's give these guys a wash. I mean, even if I get these 5 guys done today and do the other 5 tomorrow morning, I should be good in shape to get this camp done by Monday. That'd be pretty cool. I hadn't counted on playing these guys on Monday. Well, I'm sure we'll do something like Saloy Silius or something like that. If that's the case. Something real wimpy. God, they just don't weigh a thing. We'll give this guy a thicker wash. All right, now we gotta play the waiting game, which I'm not used to playing. All right, I gotta take a little potty break. I'll be right back. So I'm pretty confident in my abilities as far as when it comes to doing this stuff here. Like, I'm not worried about any challenges. The most challenging thing I've had recently has been using those little Big Man Studios decals. I think it turned out fine. I was a little doubtful of it. I thought they were going to turn out glossy. And then I sprayed them and they came out flat. They turned out really, really well. Unfortunately, I really enjoy painting shields. So let's get a screenshot of these skeletons since that's what we're doing, while they dry up a little bit. I really enjoy painting shields, so it's not really something I'm loving to do. But I encountered something last week, or week before last, I think it was last week, that really kind of threw me for a curveball. And maybe you guys can help me with it. And one of them is drilling out spears. I love drilling out spears, but I'm having a problem finding small enough drill bits that don't have a flat end so that I can get in them. And I understand that the drill bits I got are shitty, but I don't know that I can find some. If any of you guys have any small drill bit ideas that are small enough to that you can get through Amazon, because you can't find them in a store, that are small enough to grab. I almost had a situation, and I've got too many of these damn drill bits that just have completely flat ends. And let's see, let me get my tweezer so I can go ahead and grab exactly which one I'm talking about. I think it's close enough to, you guys can see. So once you get smaller than, say, this drill bit, or some of these ones, and you need something smaller, like this is a great size drill bit, but the head on it is completely flat. See if I can put it on here. It's completely flat. It has no way to grab it. So I need some drill bits that are this size that don't have a freaking flat head on them. That's like the only thing that just scares the crap out of me, because I know that if I do Byzantines next, I have no problem replacing spears. As a matter of fact, I enjoy it because you never have to worry about them ever again. So I looked at the things that I bought on Amazon. I actually bought another set of drill bits I didn't even know I had. I didn't even know I had these things. I don't even have that many things, but these apparently were really small, according to the description, but I don't think they're small enough. Yeah, like these are just as big as everything else I have. I think. Maybe I made a mistake and I have small ones in here. I think I just solved my own problem. These may be flat. This is what I should have used the other day. Okay. Thanks for your help, folks. Senile at 51. Well, I'm not 51 yet, so that's good. I found these the other day. Well, they're not where they should be. All right, well, we're going to keep these apart. I'm going to keep them in these little tubes. Look at this little booger. Now, that one has a flat front, but okay, it's tiny. But some of the other ones, all right. Whew. Okay. Yeah, I have no problem replacing things with pins. Pins and or needles. Yeah, CML Supply. I don't think these are Chinese either. Maybe they are. I don't know. I didn't know I had these until I looked through my Amazon buy list. Okay, thanks for helping me solve that, folks. Yeah, I'm not, I didn't know I had these. And they're right here. I need to reorganize all this shit. And it's not that disorganized, but I should be able to go over and I need to move where that little tray is what it is. The tray needs to be here, not there in the corner. So got to make things easy for me to get to them. And then I can always push it in when I'm done. That's what we'll do either later today or tomorrow. We'll pick this area up. Because right now I've got a little TV tray that I keep my little mouse thing on and my drinks and stuff like that. And really that hobby thing should be out here. The little hobby cart. Okay. Yeah, I want to do Mamelukes, but I think Byzantine is probably the smart way to go. And I have this. I have had this a while. These are all limited edition now. They don't make these anymore, and they're not that old. I'm sorry, something that's 10 years old isn't that old. Byzantium, Beyond the Golden Gate. And how old is this? 2008? 2005? Come on, that was just the other frickin' day. 17 years ago. I remember 2000. This was the year my daughter was born. I remember that. I got clothes from 2005 still. I got clothes a lot older in 2005. But anyhow, there's good stuff in here. There's some good stuff in here. Some ideas and, you know, I love all this pencil artwork that's in there. That's talented stuff. I don't think what I do is that talented. I'm just a master of tricks. But yeah, I love this Madonna and Child kind of stuff. That's really cool. Never been to a Greek Orthodox service. I think that'd be interesting. The artwork in these is just gorgeous. That's talented. People that are you know, you're drawing things out of nowhere, out of nothing. I'm just paint by numbers in 3D. Warhammer Ancients Battle Supplement. I have several of them. I have this one. I have the El Cid was the first one I got because that was the first armies. I have the Punic Wars one. I have, I feel like I have one more. What is the other one that I have? No, that's the three that I have. I'd have more, but, you know, they stopped making them. So, we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the Byzantine stuff next. I guess that's what I'll do next. I'll do the freaking Byzantines. They're gonna be gorgeous. Although the Mamluks would be gorgeous too. But thanks for that idea, Dirk, and make the Mamluks would be a fantastic painting challenge. I'm gonna like them as much as my Turks. I love my Turks. But we'll do Byzantines. We'll do them next. It's been decided, and we're going to do the A and the B list of Comdine, and mainly because I want to show those Elaine Tulare figures off. They're really cool. They're also very soft metal, so I got to be careful. But we'll do that today. If I have time today, we'll look through the Byzantine figures. Okay, you dead bastards done drying off now. They actually look pretty freaking good, just as they are. Hey, how about I be a slackjaw and just do that? No, I'm not doing that. Let's paint the wood. Let's go ahead and wooden them all up. Yeah, thanks for the idea, Dirk, about doing the desert-like. Maybe not desert-like, but make them a more arid terrain type. Because that's really what I was looking forward to doing the Mamelukes. You helped work on the Alexander and on the Republican Roman books. Cool. Excellent. Is your name in there? I never played the game. It was big when I went to Historicon the first year in 2006. It was big. There was lots of people there playing that. I would play it in 15s. It seems like it'd be a cool game. I guess I won't do Paris. Man, I got this. I got to do the Pyrrhic army at some point. I got all the pieces, parts for it. He's my favorite ancient commander. He was probably a dick in real life. I get it. But he's really cool. I'm definitely a fan of his. You said Alexander book, and that's the first thing I thought of. Is you reminded me of that great website, and I bet it's still up by I want to say his name is Jeff Jonas, and he does all this successor stuff. I know they're contributors to the Warhammer Ancients battle stuff, and that's what they used to play before. And but they have some great stuff on the successors and stuff of their painted things. And yeah, you got to paint, you got to play things that the people in your area played. I got into DBA because that's what people were playing, and we did it in 15s because that's what people were doing. If you want to pioneer things and do things in a weird scale in a weird game system, then you need to be prepared to be on point and be the front man and stuff. You know, like I don't mind going off and saying 10 years not play DBA and play something else. But I don't want to have to rebase my figures. I want it to be the same. I want to keep this investment in time that I've used on these figures. I don't want that to go away. I'm not opposed to playing something else. Just, right now, this is working for me. And I know many people that they get into some system and they want to play something else or rebase or sell all their figures. And these figures are going to hang out with me till I'm not around anymore. I don't want to undo this investment that I've done in time and painting them. So, okay, I think we got all the... Oh, I missed a spot. And that's my gripe with Games Workshop. That's why I never got involved in Games Workshop stuff, because I'm real slow at what I do. And the idea that I could do all this work and, and just because they discontinue something doesn't mean you can't keep playing it. But who else is out there playing Warhammer's Ancients Battles? Is it still a thing? Because the business model for Games Workshop pisses me off. That I spend all this effort and money and time. It's really time because you can't get that back. Building something, and then they're like, "Well, we're not going to do this anymore." Like, I've read the books. I have no interest in playing the game. I've read the books. There's some thought that goes into them. It's not like they're just thrown together. Maybe as a playtester. Byzantines on the Seljuk frontier rather than the Bulgar frontier. Yeah, I had no interest in doing the Bulgar one. Sorry, you Bulgar fans. Warhammer should battle a lot of fun, with the rules needed updated about the time Games Workshop dropped historical rules writing. Byzantines could also be an ally for Crusaders. Yeah, Jeff Jonas, good friend. He's a go-to source for all things Macedonian. His website was awesome. I've got a lot of, when I did my elephant for my Ptolemaics, I went to his website for ideas, definitely. Alan Curtis, deceased, wrote the later Warhammers. Alan wrote the Republican Roman book. He's deceased? Alan Curtis, that's interesting. So why does that other podcaster go by the name of Alan Curtis? That's weird. I don't understand why people just don't use their real names. It's fine if you guys don't want to. I just think it's too freaking complicated. I guess if you want to steal my identity, you can steal my identity, but you still won't be able to paint like me. Ha 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 ha. Joke's on you. Nah, there's plenty of painters that paint better than I do. I'm having more fun doing it than them, though. Screw those guys. Alan Curtis, that one guy, what's his name? The DM, whatever. I watch some of his stuff. He goes by Alan Curtis. He goes by like a lot of different names. I'm like, I don't even know what his real name is or whatever. You know, the guy that paints for a living, whatever his name is. He does painting videos and stuff. He did them before I did. That's where I got my idea. Like, hell, I could do that too, and have some interaction with people while I'm painting. Because I'll be honest with you, it's just pretty freaking boring if you're just going to do this by yourself. So he goes by Alan Curtis. I don't know. Maybe it's an homage to that guy. Check out his Red State Rumble. That's us playing Roman Civil War. I will. I had that Republican Roman book. DM Alcove. That's what his channel's called. DM Alcove. He goes by Alan Curtis. Strange. Is that an homage to the real Alan Curtis? I don't know. Should I do that? Should I change my name to an homage to my favorite game person? It would be, what's that guy's name? Dave Alsop, my freaking hero. I don't know. Maybe he was a child molester in real life. I don't know. I can't even find a picture of him. But man, he is my sculpting hero. Absolutely. That guy was extremely talented, or I liked his style a lot. So hopefully he was a nice guy. I don't wish people to be dicks, you know. But Jeff Jonas's page. His page is great. I don't know if he still does that, but are those people still do Warhammer Ancients battles? I would. And you have that kind of an investment? I hate the Games Workshop business model. Hey, they can run their business however they want, but it just doesn't work for me. Like I said, you don't get to take away my time. Forget cost, okay? Because you can resell things, but the time that we spend working on this stuff, it's bad enough that we can't take it with us to the next world. But I'm not starting off from scratch. So, you know, I have mentioned before, when I'm retired, which is not happening anytime soon, unfortunately, if I say, you know, I'm tired of this DBA game, I'm going to create my own game based on what works in different systems. I'm still going to use these army lists. I'm still going to use DBA 3.0 army list. Unless they come up with another DBA thing and it happens to be better. But this is the size game that I like to play. I don't want to play with more figures with a game that takes longer. I'd rather play more battles. That's not happening anytime soon. But what I'm getting at is I want to always use these figures that we spent this much time doing. You know, I don't want to be like, well, yeah, it was those things that we used to play way back when. I don't want that taken away from me. So, and again, I just want to make my own rules just because I think we'd have a clue how to make them better. Not to make any money off of it. Like I've mentioned before, they'd be free. I'm not interested in taking money away from people. And that's not my thing. Just like I don't mind showing you guys all these tricks that I do. It's not like, oh, let me keep them from him because that makes me, you know, people will be in awe. I'm like, come on, man, get off your high horse, man. Nobody's gonna get rich of this stuff. Maybe somebody will see something on here and go, oh man, I was stuck painting this army and I couldn't figure out what to do, and I showed them maybe some workaround or whatever. Hey, I don't have all the answers, but I've had to figure out a few things out on my own and gotten ideas from other people too, you know? So if there's a tiny little bit I can give back or, hey, we're doing that just by plugging along. Man, I feel that just made my weekend finding those drill bits. I thought I just had the one. That's what it is. Kicking ass together, folks. Yeah, he goes by Alan Curtis. I have to look into that. Yeah, the problem with using my real name is I have a really common name. You wouldn't think so, but I have a very common name. So now I've done enough stuff. Not that I have any interest in being famous, but if people want to find me for hobby stuff, I'd like for it to be easy. So there's a lot of people with my name that don't do this content. They also don't speak English, but many of them don't. So Mr. Gross, the Gross Man, welcome. Still enjoying some cold weather where you're at. It's gone here. Yeah, the mornings are still okay. It was hot as fill in the blank yesterday. So, I didn't want to use a name for my channel that was DBA related because I do also some things that aren't DBA related, and maybe at some point in my life I won't do DBA anymore. I mean, I see that being a long ways in the future. Most of you guys will be dead. Sorry to be so morbid, but right now this is working really well for me to push my creativity and not have to worry about the rules thing. Although every time we miss something, I always like to say, that's one more step towards making my own set of rules. I said it's going to have to take retirement for that to happen. Because I need painting therapy at this point in my life, and creating rules is not going to be therapeutic. So Alan was pedantic. Oh man, I'm not ready for those big words. It's 60 in Northwest Missouri this morning. Oh, God damn it. Damn it, John Carter. I got no context to figure that out. Hey, it's not a word I use. Pedantic. I think I know what it means, but let me just be correct. Of or like a pedant. Oh, well, that makes perfect sense. What does pedantic mean in a person? It's an insulting word used to describe someone who annoys others by correcting small errors, caring too much about minor details, or emphasizing their own expertise, especially in some narrow or boring subject matter. Okay, so why couldn't you have just said he wasn't fun at parties? I'm fun at parties. I'm pedantic, but I think to myself, I want to get things right. But if you guys don't care, you don't care. I'm not into controlling people. And it's probably because I'm not into controlling people. I don't want to be controlled either. How long before retirement? At least 17 more years. At least. So I should be okay. We're trying to go to the gym frequently, and trying to do some healthier stuff lately. Not that I have that unhealthy of a lifestyle. My liver should be fine by then. But it's just not anytime soon, unfortunately. I got plenty I could do. We'll just keep plugging along. Hey, if I never retire, you don't have to worry about new rules. No, I just think in our gameplay, we got some ideas that would make it a better game. Even better. Even better. But I don't want to charge for them, because if I don't charge for them, I feel I have the liberty to using everybody's ideas. Just about every rule set we played has had some good ideas. DBA has some good things right off the bat. Armadi has some good things. Not as many, but, everybody's got ideas to contribute. And I think that if you have access to, if you're willing to take from different things, and I'm not going to charge. That's the wrong thing to do. You don't take other people's ideas and charge for something. You don't take other people's army lists and then charge for it. I mean, you can do it and maybe get away with it. I just wouldn't be able to sleep at night. That's not the kind of asshole I am. I'm a different kind of an asshole. None of us are fun at parties. Oh, stop. Don't go to very many, but I'm fun at parties. I'm a lot more likable. Somebody told me it was on a weekend. I don't remember where it was. I don't remember when it was or where it was, but I know it wasn't at work. It was definitely on a weekend, and this person says, "Man, you're always in a good mood." I said, "No." What was it exactly that they said? I think they said, "You're always in a good mood." And I told them, I said, "Well, I'm only an asshole when I'm being paid." On a weekend, if I see a problem, I can just avoid it. I can just say, I'm not going to deal with that. It isn't worth it. You got to confront things and deal with shit you don't want to at work. But when you're not, I'm like, I'm not dealing with that crap. I'm like, oh, there's something I don't like over there. Cool, I'm going this way. You can't avoid it in a work environment, unfortunately. You got to deal with stuff that you don't care for. Pedantic. Sounds like that guy's a dick. Some guy's a dick. I am, but I'm pretty much a live and let live person. I mean, like I've talked about World War II. I'm a World War II gamer. Many of you, unless you're World War II religionist like I am, probably would not enjoy playing the World War II games that I enjoy playing. And I'm not willing to play Flames of War. So, I'm not, I'm real picky when it comes to that stuff. But at the same time, if you don't want to play the game that I want to, that's fine, but I'm definitely real picky about what I want, out of a game. And I don't want to be like, what do you mean that this Panzer III is the same? What kind of Panzer III? Is it an F or a G? Does it have the bolt-on H armor? What do you mean it's a late war Panzer IV? Is it a H or a J? Does it have the electric turret rotation, or is it just hand? I mean, I can't get that out of me. I was a 1/35th scale tank modeler for too many years, But I also realized that you can't use a lot of stuff, and you're not going to get very many players. You assume that the figures you are painting are going to be in the camp for the army you just finished. They are the camp. It is the forest of the impaled. The forest of the impaled will be the camp. It's going to have what? What did we say? 14, 13 figures? Ooh, I should do 13. Nah, there's no witches in this damn army. Those Eastern Europeans are superstitious enough. We don't need to add more ammo to those folks, but I think what I did 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 14. Maybe I'll not paint one, and that way there's 13 and really freak people out. Some people are freaked out by stupid stuff. I know a couple people that I work with. They do pricing and stuff. I've worked on a long time. This guy, if something ended up being $666, he would just change it. He just couldn't deal with it. I'm like, dude, it's just a number, you know? Who worries about shit like that? I certainly don't. I was in an elevator about a year ago, and I'm like, it does have a 13th floor. It's called 14. Dumb shit like that, you know? Superstitious people. I'm not one of them. A grown-ass man worried about superstition. So we're going to do the wood all the way because we know how we like that to look. That way you can get the correct look while you're doing the skeleton. The skeleton, the skeletonians. One of my favorite fantasy creatures. Not that I have that many. I'm the guy that played ancient empires and exacting in-depth treatment of ancients. Ancient Empires by Emperor's Press. I've never heard of it. Camp will be impressive. Why tempt fate? Well, there's some things I wouldn't do. Like I wouldn't want to burn a church down or, you know. The thing about karma, it doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not. That shit's for real. Doesn't require faith. But, you know, superstitious stuff, nah, that's a bunch of baloney. Broker mirrors and things like that. What's the thing if you're doing the flag and well I don't know if it's superstitious, but if you're taking the flag down from a flagpole and it touches the ground, look, did you mean to be disrespectful? No. Okay, then it doesn't matter, you know. It's what you mean by it more than what you do. Okay, I think we're done with that one. I love painting wood. How long have we been on here? Oh, it's not on this screen. About this one. 3 hours and 15 minutes? Holy cow. Flying by. Flying by. Yeah. Could have done it without you guys. See, now the light is really weird. We're starting to get that light that's coming in through the transom window. And that's going to cause me to stop for sure. Because you'd think it would be better, but it's a mind screw. We'll stop painting. Maybe we don't have to stop the feed. I don't know. We'll see. There's some other things I got to do today, and we may have to go into those things. Not hobby related. Reality has basic laws. You do not have to believe in those laws. They just exist. You don't have to believe in gravity. It's not a question of faith. I saw a guy this last week going over to Mitch's house on Monday that was driving. He did the craziest shit. He did stuff that I wouldn't do in a driving game. Well, that's not true. I'd do that. But it's a driving game. And I saw him in a rearview mirror and I thought he had wrecked. And I genuinely wanted him to kill himself. Because before, what he did was, you can't put other people's life in. I mean, if you're that much of a death wish, by all means, go kill yourself. But don't get other people, innocent people, involved in it. Ancient Empires is like Empire V for Ancients. Empire 5. Is that Napoleonic's Empire game that I've heard horrible things about? Yeah, it must be. What's the name of that game? What's the name of that game? You said when you said Ancient Empires, the first thing I thought of was the game system that's being pushed by not really pushed. It's their game system by Forged in Battle. Does anybody play that? Does anybody play their game system? I've never seen anything on there. And actually, before I got into Ancients, the one system that seemed to be all over the place on the miniatures page, not that I go there anymore, was Terry Gore's system, Saga or whatever. But I've never heard anybody play that. I have no idea what that's. If that's like a DBMM replacement or DBM replacement. DBMM wasn't out yet. A DBM replacement or something like that. I don't hear anybody playing that. Thanks for the time reminder. It's past 2 a.m. and still painting. Too absorbed. You know, there's a lot worse things you could be doing, Dirk. Hopefully you have tomorrow off. This is one of the best things you could be doing. I don't mean because you're hanging with me. I'm just saying, you know, if you're getting out of this what I am, which is, you know, relaxation and, you know, calmness, you're painting things you've already bought, it's all good. Take a crack look at the Byzantines maybe this evening. I'm going to try to hit the gym, and sometimes you get movement is a little too much. But it should be okay to sift through figures. And a lot of figures to look through. That might be fun. Only because I can't paint during that same time. So that doesn't really count as a going off on a tangent, since there's nothing else I could do. We got them all bagged up. We got a Byzantine bag. But in that bag, there are all kinds of Byzantines. So there's, Heraclean ones and other periods. So we're just interested in, even though I do need to do the Justinian period to fight my Ostrogoths, but I think the Crusades one is going to be a little bit more conducive to that. And I won't be tempted to buy any of those Forged in Battle figures. And Forged in Battle does make the earlier guys. As I like to say, I should find some army that Khorasan's already made, so they won't come out with figures for that range as soon as I'm done with mine. That's why I've never gotten any of their figures. As soon as they come out with them, I'm already done with them. They came out with some really cool Ottoman Turks after I was done with my Turks. I'm like, what for now? They don't need me painting their figures. I need to paint more second tier type stuff. I enjoy painting the crappier figures and make them look nice. Just about all of them will paint up well. Good night, Dirk. Have a Sunday morning sleep in. All honeydew tasks done today. Awesome. I think Terry Gore's rules had skirmisher issues, if you remember correctly. He started tinkering with Roman Republican rules, checkerboard formations, line replacement, etc. Man, I wish there was a game that you could get that feeling with it, but I guess that's just, we're too zoomed out to really do that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then he passed away around 2005, 6, something like that. I bet those rules are available somewhere. I bet he had some good ideas. Almost everybody has some good ideas. I don't know, was he pedantic also? Now that you mention that word, it's just a word I don't use. I certainly know people that are like that. Another one. Some figure lines look like crap unpainted, but when you get them painted, they look great. And some figure lines are nice, but when they're painted like crap, they don't look good. Ancient Empires deals with Republican checkerboard tactics. That's really zoomed in. There was a guy that I saw. Well, I assumed it was a guy. Yes, I assumed his gender. Hell, I don't even have any female viewers. I mean, I'm fine if I do, but, this is just something that just normally doesn't interest them. Not anti-female or something. Anyhow, he had sculpted, I want to say they're on DBA-size stands, little Roman formations and Gauls and stuff, and used putty and just sculpted them so they're like in formation. So he was like moving the formations around. I thought that was really an innovative way to do that, and painted up, and it looked really cool. It was really, really cool with that. Thing is, Terraria were grouped in 60 men, which converts one figure in 15 millimeter. Yeah. Or less. is I'm still in DBA 2.2. What's still stuck in my mind is 250. 250 men for a figure. So that's why I look at people, and I'm describing DBA. I'm like, you have to realize that one stand of skirmishers is 500 guys. So all kinds of stuff is happening there in detail that you're not seeing as the Army commander observer. That's how you can justify some of the abstraction that's inherent in the rules. But I know in 3.0 they changed it to something else, but where it's actually less people. But yeah, it's hard to kind of do those type of groupings if it's very few people. And I still remember the Legion of the, if you're talking about like a Polybian period Legion, was like I think it was like 4,000 men, which almost translates almost perfectly into like two hastati, a principe stand, and a triarii. Not counting the skirmishers. So I kind of think of that as like, oh, okay, a DBA Polybian army is like 2 legions. I did some sort of abstraction or whatever in there, and obviously there's some variables and stuff in there, but just when I'm reading stuff about that period, and I said, okay, he had 4 legions, like, okay, that's a double-sized DBA army, just to kind of put it in game terms so you could process, what exactly you're thinking of. Great Battles tactical board game solves this scale by dividing the legion into 3 rather than 10. Price remains the same. I've got one of those games that Scott handed to me, the Alexander one. I probably would enjoy it. I just don't want to read the rules. I think at some point we're probably going to play some of the scenarios and change them in a DBA format. Some of the more obscure stuff. But a lot of those ancient scenarios are just some guy just guesswork. Just guessworking what it might have looked like, especially the terrain. I mean, hell, you can't even get the terrain right for some of Pyrrhus's battles. And honestly, there's some of the more well-documented of that period, the 3 battles. One of them is, the first one's pretty much straightforward because you got the river crossing, Heraclea. But the last 2, there's definitely some, well, this may have been over here, just some guesswork. So, and I'm only saying Pyrrhus because I've looked into those. We did our own version of Heraclea a couple of years ago that we put in our Roman set of games that we did where people would sit on opposite sides. We did that, and we did a replay in one of them on the video, the one of Axte, Sexte, or whatever the hell you call it. I could kind of pronounce it if I'm looking at it. Aquilate, whatever it is. We did that one of the videos. It actually turned out to be a really cool battle. But, we kind of dumbed it down into DBA terms so that, I think that one, it's 11 stands versus 15 or something like that. So you get the right proportion of the figures, but you kind of keep it in DBA terms. I don't want to do a big battle DBA type game. I want to still do the one person versus one person. Aquae Sextate, whatever it's called. It's an awesome game. You never wish to play DBA. I disagree. I think that I would. It doesn't. I can't paint figures. I think. What's the computer game that that the Barker helper created? Field of Glory. I think there's things about the Field of Glory computer game that are really, really good. I've played a fair amount of it, but then there's no general stand. Like, okay, that's lacking, and you can move everybody you want every turn. Well, that's the best thing about DBA, is that you can't do everything you want before the other guy gets a turn. So I'm sure there's probably things in that rule system that I probably would like, but man, I just don't want to. It's not gonna enamor me with painting, and this is what I need to do. This is my outlet. Okay, I think we're going to finish up this wood and this one here, and then we're going to call it for this session because we've been on here a while. Battles placed thousands of years ago are all guesswork. Yeah, and all the Roman stuff, like that's a lot of the Roman stuff survives, some of it doesn't, and it's only one point of view. And I mean, media coverage these days is bad enough even with multiple points of view. Imagine just one point of view. So things we'll never know. All right. You spend a good while converting great battles to minis. Is that one of the? Is that made by what's his face that's deceased? Oh, I don't remember what it is. He seems pedantic. I'd seen. Well, he's passed away just recently. I can't think of what his name is now, but I've seen him on conversations with other people on Facebook, and man, like that guy's like a dick. I wouldn't want to game with him. He's a pain in the ass. Can't think of what his name is. Whatever, but he's extremely prolific. Extremely prolific. Like he's made like more stuff than anybody that I can think of has ever made. But that doesn't mean he's fun to play games with. I don't think I would enjoy it. I don't think I would enjoy his personality, but that's probably a lot of people, Can't think of what his name is right now. He does all those GMT games. He's done hundreds of them. Richard Berg, yeah. Yeah, I've seen his interaction with people online, and I don't want to play with the guy. The guy seems like a dick. A genius. There's no doubt about it. He's a genius, smarter than I'll ever be, but that doesn't seem like he'd be much fun to. Now, if somebody's going after him, yeah, you got to defend him, but he's just being, extra, like, pain in the ass. And some people are really smart and then have no common sense. I'm not saying that's how this guy is, but I know somebody who's real smart and they can't figure out how to put on deodorant. What good does it do you? I don't care if you're like a genius level Kasparov chess player. If you can't figure out that you freaking need to put on deodorant after you take a shower, then you I don't think very highly of you. I'd rather be just an average dumbass and that doesn't smell. He was a duck, but he lost his young son. Well, you never know you never know what that's going to do to you. But it's different if people come after you. Like if you bringing something up and and somebody like wants to like make it personal, but it just seemed like you went off after people. Whatever. He wrote a lot of freaking games. He made a lot of people happy with games. But I've never met him. I've met Richard Borg. Richard Borg's a very nice guy. Okay, this is where we're going to stop. This is where we're going to stop for the day. I had to unfriend him on social media. Yeah, I never got to that point, but he was kind of a penis wrinkle. I'm glad I changed the settings on the phone. It's a more, this is what I'm looking at, folks. It's less washed out than would normally be apparent. So this is where we're at. We got 3 skeletons. We got 3 impaled skeletons completely done. And we've got these other 5 that just need highlighting and detail. So that's what we're going to hit next. And then we'll have another 5 to do. And we'll have a nice lively camp. It's going to be kind of dense. We're going to get them all on this stand. So it's going to be a little challenge to get the goop on there. I think I got a way to do that. So, but it's going to be kind of cluttered. But that's what we want. We don't want like 3 guys like, yeah, real scary. You put 3 guys in there. No, you jammed them all in there. So it's not like I have any plans for these guys for other things anyways. So, have a good weekend. What, you're not going to see me again? No, we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow morning. We'll see you tomorrow morning, Steve. How about that? And, yeah, we got some things to do that aren't hobby related, and we'll be back shortly. Maybe we'll do some messing around with some Byzantine figures to take a little bit of a break. But until next time, folks,